I was born in Brooklyn, at Borough Park. My father moved, we had a second house, a second apartment there, and I don't remember too much about it, but then I remember going to, of course, the third house that I was in, and it was a two-bedroom, but a lot of living rooms. And it was nice, and I was there until I was, we decided to move to the Bronx, so I was 13 and a half. I was going to seventh grade, going into seventh grade. So we moved to the Bronx, all the way up in Marshall Parkway in the Bronx, and nice. It was wartime, so it was a new building, and we were the first people to live there. I don't know if you know that area, it's very nice. And I would go to school across there. We play outside. We never went to a playground. I played some ball, and certainly when I went to camp, we played some tennis, I played that, but not as, I'm trying to think, I like baseball. I love to watch baseball. So I do that, and I had a cousin that got me tickets for a football game, so we would do that. But my parents were not, my father wasn't interested in those things. But Marshall Park was very nice. It was a beautiful area, and it was really near the Botanical Gardens. It was a nice area. And at that time, my dad was doing well. He was a hat manufacturer in Manhattan, and he owned, he made the hats, and he was the boss. So I remember that very well because I used to go there and help him out during the summer there, so that was fun. And so we upped ourselves to a very lovely apartment in the Bronx. So living in Brooklyn wasn't special. I had the most fun time is moving to the Bronx, meeting new people, and going to high school there after getting into seventh grade. Then I went to high school, Vander Childs in the Bronx. And then we went to college after I graduated. And I went to LIU in Brooklyn. My dad didn't want me to go away, so we had to look for schools in the area, and we decided we'd go there, and that's what I did. Oh, well, in the Bronx, I had a group of friends, and at that time I was a teenager, so it was more some boys and running around and just doing that kind of thing. And as I got into high school, we kind of didn't do that. I had more friends in high school, and from there, it wasn't anything special. I think the years of being in high school, like in the junior and senior year, were good because we had friends, and and then I started going to camp as a counselor and meeting a lot of people. So after I graduated high school, we went to, every summer I would go be a counselor in camp. And when I went to college, that was altogether different. That's kind of opened everything for me. I had many friends in college, and then I belonged to a sorority, and we had parties and get-togethers and going to shows. And then my parents also, I shouldn't say, that was fun time. We used to go to out to the beach. My father loved the water, so we would go to, what was it? Not Long Beach. I can't remember which, but he would take a bungalow, and we'd stay in the bungalow there, but right near the water so he could go swimming. Rockaway, right. It was in Rockaway. And we'd do that for a couple of years during the summer, and I met some friends there that got me into theater and then going. And one of my friends was interested in music and going to not the opera so much as when they were playing music. Carnegie Hall. We would go into New York, and sometimes I'd meet. I think she lived there. So once we moved back to the Bronx, I was traveling on the trains, and I'd meet her in the city. So we do that. And from there on, I was in college, and I think my first year, I belonged to a sorority. And in that sorority, I became friends with someone that said to me once, what are you doing New Year's Eve? And so I said, well, nothing. So she said, well, how would you like to have a date? My brother doesn't have anything to do. So that's how I met my husband. So from there on, then he called me up for a show. That was New Year's Eve, which he got drunk, and we sobered him up, and someone took me home to the Bronx. And he lived in Manhattan, in Chelsea. So it was a little trip. But then I didn't see him again until March. He had tickets for Death of a Salesman, and so he asked if I wanted to see that show, and I started seeing him. And let's see. From where on, let's see what's next. My father didn't really want me to go to school. He wanted me to go, just go to where you learn the typewriter or something like that. And I kind of insisted. I told him I really wanted to go. And so he finally gave in, and that's why he wasn't going to send me away. I had to be around, so I did go. So I went for 4 years, but they were great 4 years, meeting friends. I did join a sorority, and I was what do you call them in the sorority? I was the leader for a year, in the sorority. And as I said, that's when I met my husband at that time. So that was good.
Tell us about your parents. What were their names and where did they
Okay, Benjamin, Ben. And my Ben, Helene's Ben, is named after him. And my mother is Toby. Let's see, he came over here in what did I say? They got married in 1922. Estelle was born in 1924. I was born in 1929. And they were about 5 years apart, 7 years, I think, apart. My mother was born in 1905. He was born in 98. So they had a nice relationship, and he didn't know English or anything, but he got into a business as a hat manufacturer. He was working for someone, and he worked his way up, and he spoke pretty good. And my mother was born here. And my grandmother came here that's my mother's mother, came here when she was 19. They came from, one came from Poland, and then Austria. I think my father came from Austria. And my grandmother came from Poland. So, the family came over. They had about 5 brothers and 1 sister. And the mother and father also came over, so they were all here. And my mother was born here. So my grandmother was very nice. My mother's mother, when she came here, she was a young girl. So she came to live with us when we were in Brooklyn. And she would always say, sit down with me. I want to be able to read. And so I was the teacher. I always liked teaching from the very beginning. So we used to sit down, and she would write, and she would want me to, listen to her read. And she did go to night school, so she could know, and she was pretty good at it. My father was a religious man. He'd go to temple and all the holidays and keep up a Friday night if he could go. So he was busy because he worked even on Saturday. He would go into the shop and prepare for the next, for Monday. So they were very nice, loving people, and they're good. All the good times we had together, it was very nice. Well, we always had the holidays. Those were traditions, anniversaries, special anniversaries. We have booklets up there for every 40th, 45th on my in-laws' side, my husband's side. Oh, big on it. Every 5 years was another, the 40th, the 45th, the 50th. We had big parties for them. They were a very close family. They were a large family, much larger than my family. I don't know too much about my mother's side. My father's side was bigger, and my husband's side also. And that's the family that is all together, and that we do enjoy each other and have, it's a big group of people. About 30, would you say, when we get together. Oh, I love teaching. Well, the first time I went back was in first grade. And it was okay, but I liked the young ones. Then I had that hiatus that I didn't go. So when I went back full-time, I got into this school that a friend of mine was the principal. Oh, my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was in that school. And so I went in subbing until I went full-time. And he had me come in there. So I went back in, Elaine was 1965. And so I worked in that school for about 10 years. And then my sister-in-law left and another one left and there was changes. So then I moved to, I asked my husband, because he was principal at that time, if there was an opening in any other school but his. So I did go for an interview to two, and I got a job up on Ditmas Boulevard, PS 122. And that's the whole thing in my history.
What did you teach for?
Oh, I taught about, I went 64, I finished in 91, and then I had about 3 years before that was added to what I had. So it was nice retirement. We had a too shortened life together because he died in 2001, and he had retired a little 2 years after me. So we were going away together, to different places, but then he got Parkinson. And that wasn't, you don't die from that, but it was tough. And then all of a sudden, it happened. So I've been alone since 2001. Then after this last time, we moved to this co-op, the kids said, why don't you look for something else? And we came looking here. But I knew a cousin of my husband's lives here, and a very good friend that I have lives here too. I think I gave all to my children. I would run home if anyone had to go to the dentist, or someone had to go to Hebrew school, someone had to go, they're seeing a friend, I would pick them up. I was always in the car and out of the car and in the car and out of the car. So, yeah. So, it was something. For me to come home, I could have come home half an hour after they were in the house. So remember, I had an older kid, so maybe he came in first, and then when one was in, let me see, then when she came into school, I think that was just his last year. Then he went to middle school, but then I had Neil there if to go home with or something, if she didn't get the bus. I think they gave the bus to first and second grade, maybe, something like that. But, it all worked out that way. So, and then, Erwin also tutored a lot of that for extra money. He would tutor, And he liked doing that in English. He was an English major, of course, because he's a writer, and that was his forte. And he did that.
Did you always want to be a mother?
Oh, yeah. Well, love being a mother and having children. I have a wonderful family. We're very close. And so it's very nice that I have grandchildren and one great-granddaughter. And she's adorable with a picture over there. So nowadays, you know, they don't take pictures. You don't get pictures. You only get pictures on the iPhone. Or she gave me last year a calendar. So every month up to this is in December, how big she is. So I said, don't I ever get a picture so I could show someone? Finally, they gave me something I could put up on my refrigerator. No more, they don't take pictures like they used to. So.
What kind of lessons do you think you could pass on to your children and your grandchildren from all you've experienced in your life?
Well, life is, you know, you have to make things for yourself, get along with people. How can I describe it? I think it comes down from the generation before. My in-laws and my father and mother, a family was important. To be with family. You go overboard if needed for them. You may not like them, but if they're if they needed help, there was someone in my husband's family who was also an uncle to my husband. He never had the job. My father-in-law always had to give him money, and it was his brother. You're not going to let go. So that family, it just comes down from one to the other. Now, we're still in touch with my mother-in-law's side a little less than we are with the father's. Yeah, the father's side. That is a big family. It's like Saturday we had, no, Sunday. Sunday she had about 30 people in the house for the holiday. And I don't know how to say it in a way that the love that we will see, you know, and hug and kiss, and then the little ones are growing up, and you give them something, and you go over to talk to them. Of course, you know, I'm here, and it's just nice. And I try to keep up with the kids. They're in college. I'll give them a call every time I call her son. No, can't leave any messages because it's full. I've called Talia, can't leave any messages, it's full. But I try to keep in touch with them, even if they're away. Just to call, it doesn't, you know, you should, the phone is there, you can text on your cell phone, or something, just to be in touch with the people. And there's something there.